Hey folks, just a little preemptive cold open warning here. Mega Man 2 has a lot of flickering lights, which I'm going to edit out for the video. Hey everybody, probably should have clarified that I'm going to do my best to edit them out. This isn't some kind of guarantee that there's going to be zero flashing lights at all, because I mean, I don't have epilepsy, I don't know how that stuff works, so yeah, don't take this as 100%. But if you watch this and or you decide to play Mega Man 2 and you have sensitivity to flickering lights or epilepsy or something, probably in your best interest not to do that. I'm not going to claim to be like an expert on epilepsy here or anything. Frankly, I don't know much of anything about it, but I like to think that people have fun watching my videos. And I can't think of anything less fun than being sped off to the emergency room. But with that out of the way, I hope you enjoy my needlessly lengthy review of Mega Man 2. See you later, in a few seconds. Hey folks, welcome back. It is I, Idiot Man. My abilities include misplaced optimism, obsessive compulsive disorder, and I can skip rocks pretty good. You'll have to defeat me to figure out which one you'll get. Mega Man. Mega Man is one of the oldest and longest running video game franchises of all time. For a long time, Mega Man was Capcom's boy, their main IP. He was to Capcom what Mario is to Nintendo, or Sonic is to Sega, or Adam is to the De Pere, Wisconsin Walmart Facebook page. And I mean, he still kinda is. Recently, Capcom has been more into releasing Mega Man games, even if most of them are just collections. But I think that a lot of people forget that before the Dark Age, during the early 2010s, Capcom was publishing Mega Man games as if they were making them on an assembly line. There's so many Mega Man games, bro. There's the main series, Mega Man X, Mega Man Zero, Mega Man Legends, Battle Network, Star Force? I don't even know what that is. The most recent main release was Mega Man 11 in 2018, an actual full-on return to form for the original Mega Man series. I thought it was pretty good. I mean, it's no masterpiece, but it could have been a lot worse. But you know, we're getting off topic here, okay? Capcom's decision to not release Mega Man games for a long time is a story for another video. That's not the topic at hand here, okay? The point of this video is to take you back to the past. To play some good games that are good. The NES, what a big video game console. Alright, let's be real here. As beloved as the NES is, not a lot of the games from it hold up all that well. The Mario games are obviously still good, Contra, Castlevania, and Zelda is good if you have a fucking walkthrough on hand at all times. But in my opinion, no series of games from that era hold up as well as the original Mega Man hexology. And yes, hexology is a real word, I googled it. Mega Man 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all stand on their own as absolute trailblazers of the 2D platforming genre. I mean, yeah, to the untrained eye, it probably looks like I'm showing you several clips of the same game. And a lot of people go at these games for that. They all look exactly the same. People say things like, it's the same game 6 times. But I don't really think that's fair. I mean, sure, Mega Man has literally the exact same sprite, recycled in all 6 games. But this implication that these games are all just shameless reskins attempt to make as many games in the shortest period of time as possible is ridiculous. Mega Man himself is one of the few things that actually stays constant in all the games. Very few of the enemy sprites are recycled from previous games, and each level is completely visually distinct. They also added a lot of little gameplay tweaks as the series went along. Mega Man 3 introduced the little slide and Rush, Mega Man's robot dog friend who can help you out and transform into vehicles and stuff. Mega Man 4 let you charge your Buster Shot, Mega Man 6 had the flying suit and the big punching suit. But again, we're getting off topic here. This isn't a general retrospective of Mega Man. This is a game review. Now, as I've said before, every long-running video game series has that one installment that everyone is seemingly in unanimous agreement to be the best in the series. And for Mega Man, that game is Mega Man 2. And why is that? I don't know. Look, I know that the thing I'm about to say is going to completely contradict the little rant that I went on just now, but the first 6 Mega Man games are pretty samey, to be honest. I mean, it's not a bad thing, but I don't really get how you could play the first 6 Mega Man games and really come out with a definitive, no question about it favorite. Gun to my head, if you made me pick a favorite, I would probably lean towards Mega Man 6, just because it's the one I'm most familiar with. And also, I like the different suits you get. Either that or Mega Man 4, because it has Toadman, and I love Toadman. But enough beating around the bush, okay? Nobody cares about my opinion. It's been made abundantly clear. Without further introduction, I give you Mega Man, the second one. Mega Man 2 starts up with the dopest opening sequence ever. In the year of 2000X, a super robot named Mega Man was created. Dr. Light created Mega Man. Oh, to stop the evil desires of Dr. Wily. However, after his defeat, Dr. Wily created 8 of his own robots to counter Mega Man. Listen to that bass line, it's absolutely non-stop. Also, why does Mega Man have hair? He's not even a cyborg or a guy in a suit or anything, he's just a straight-up robot. Sorry, that's not important. You hop into the game and you get a Brady Bunch level select where you choose between 8 different bosses, or as we'll be calling them from now on, Robot Masters. You got Bubble Man, Air Man, Quick Man, Heat Man, Wood Man, Metal Man, Flash Man, and Crash Man. You pick one of these and you hop into a level with the boss at the end. Before we get into the actual game, what do you say we give a little appreciation to our hero, shall we? Mega Man himself is just such a brilliantly designed character. He's got so much personality to him. He blinks if he's standing still. When he jumps, it's like his full body, fists in the air, triumphant leap from one spot to the next. He runs with such fervor and determination. He is dead set on blowing Dr. Wily's brains out. And he's just so visually appealing. His blue on blue uniform pops out no matter the background. To go on a little tangent, fun fact about Mega Man is that his color was actually born out of technical limitations. You see, the NES had a limited color palette. It could only use 56 colors, which in reality was like different shades of the same 10 colors. The reason for Mega Man's costume being blue is pretty much exclusively because the NES palette has a much wider variety of blues than any of the other colors, if you include cyan. Blue and cyan are the same color, don't fucking... Anyway, let's actually jump into the game here. I promise I'm not stalling, I just think Mega Man is cool. So, you pick a Robot Master and he does a little dance for you, and then you get dropped into his level. And from there, it's just the absolute best of the best when it comes to 2D platforming. That said though, it's at this point where I'm reminded that it's kind of weird that this one is considered to be the best in the series, because gameplay wise it's pretty bare bones compared to future installments. All the Mega Man can do is jump and shoot. He doesn't have his little slide, that was introduced in Mega Man 3. He can't charge up his Buster, that was introduced in Mega Man 4. Rush didn't exist yet, so instead you just have these little generic numbered abilities that give you floating platforms, one that's a little jet that flies forward, and one that shoots these little bouncing platforms that climb walls. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a really fun game. It doesn't suffer from lacking in the future innovations. It's just kind of weird that the overwhelming consensus regarding the best game in the series is the one that's missing stuff that the future games had. It's almost as if it's all nostalgia, and the only reason that anyone picks a favorite Mega Man is because of the one that they grew up with. Now here's the thing about Mega Man. Sure, he's blue and he shoots lemons, but that's far from the extent of his abilities. Mega Man also has the ability to take powers from those he's defeated, and that's the major gimmick of the Mega Man games. When you defeat a Robot Master, you get their power and you can use it for the rest of the game. You go into the pause menu and switch between abilities, and despite everything I said about the NES palette, Mega Man gets a different colored suit based on what ability he has equipped. Also, each Robot Master has a weakness to another Robot Master's weapon, and they really make a big difference. Boss fights go from challenging to Metal Man dying in one hit from his own ability. Now, of course, the game doesn't indicate to you in any way whatsoever which Robot Master is weak to which attack, so you have to either guess or just, like, Google it. Of course, Google didn't exist in 1988. At least I don't think it did. So I guess if you wanted to beat the bosses in the right order, you just had to wait until 1989 for the Nintendo Power issue to come out and hope that it tells you. Either that or just ask your big brother, he probably knows. But in this case, I'm your big brother, and I'm going to tell you the order in which I beat the Robot Masters, which is entirely original and not something I read off Google. So here we go. First up is Metal Man. He's like a metal guy, I don't know. He's got a saw blade on his head, which kind of looks like those little mirrors that doctors have on their forehead, but he's not a doctor, so I don't really get what they were going for here. Honestly, Metal Man's stage is pretty easy. It's themed around gears and machinery, and the only real obstacles you have to worry about are conveyor belts, stalagmites, and stalactites, and these dropping spike things that for some reason make Mega Man flicker. And then you fight Metal Man, and again, he's pretty easy. He just jumps and throws saw blades at you. If you're quick enough, you can pretty easily dodge them. I'm not entirely certain if he's actually weak to the Mega Buster. He seems to take more damage from it than the other Robot Masters, but he's certainly the easiest to beat with the Mega Buster. Upon defeating Metal Man, you get his ability, Metal Blade, which turns Mega Man this kind of nasty, swampy green color. This is, without a doubt, the best ability in the game. It lets you rapid fire these saw blades that go through walls, and you have complete control over what direction you're throwing them. Up, down, left, right, diagonal, whatever. Next up is Airman. He's like a big fan guy. He's got a big fan. I think he's pretty cool. His level is a little bit harder than Metal Man's. It takes place almost entirely in the sky, so it's got a lot of jumping between platforms. It's actually not that bad though. Based on other levels in the Mega Man series, I'm kind of surprised that a level that's heavily reliant on platforming and pitfalls isn't more agonizing. Speaking of agonizing, here's Airman. From what I can tell, a lot of people seem to have a lot of trouble with Airman. In fact, he's the only Robot Master that has a page in the game manual about how to defeat him. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't really get it. He shoots like a barrage of little tornadoes that block projectiles and are pretty hard to avoid, but if you can get up close to him, you can just fucking annihilate him with your Mega Buster, so I don't know. Guess I'm just way too fucking baller at video games, bro. From Airman, you get the Air Shooter, which gives Mega Man a nice blue and white getup and also shoots 3 little tornadoes that go up and diagonally. They can also go through walls, so they're good for hitting enemies above you. Next up is Crash Man, or as they call him in the manual, Clash Man. Crash Man, or Clash Man, or whatever his name is. His stage is fine. Visually, it's kind of neat. It reminds me of those old Windows XP pipe screensavers. Other than that, though, it's fine. It's very vertical, and it involves a lot of waiting on platforms and climbing up ladders. It's not too bad, although occasionally you'll fall and have to reascend 3 screens of ladders, which is very annoying. Crash Man is pretty easy. You just kind of have to bait him to throw his sticky bombs and then move out of the way. He also straight up dies in 2 hits to Airman's weapon. Crash Man gives you this ugly salmon outfit and the first bad weapon in the game. Crash Bombs. They're like these little sticky bombs that are essentially useless aside from blowing up these walls that are occasionally in the game. Let's keep it moving, fellas. It's Bubbleman time. Yes, a water level. Yeah! Now here's the thing about Bubbleman's stage. For all the parts that you're not underwater, the background is like this repeated waterfall texture that's just copy and pasted all over the entire screen, and it is physically painful to look at. I'm not even going to show it because best case it'll make you vomit, worst case it'll overload your visual senses and make your head explode. But anyway, the rest of Bubbleman's stage is a water level. And honestly, as old games go, Mega Man kind of had the water level thing down packed. Literally the only difference is that Mega Man runs a little slower and the physics are way more floaty. So if you do a jump, you'll likely go careening directly into a wall of spikes. It's kind of cool. Rather than the difficulty coming from platforming and avoiding attacks, the emphasis is more on controlling your jump trajectory to avoid the spikes and stuff. It's a neat little change of pace. Bubbleman is weak to Metal Man's ability, and he's extremely easy to defeat if you use it. He gives you the Bubble Lead ability, which shoots these little bubbles that go along the ground. It's more useful than you might think. Next up, you guessed it, it's Heatman. He's a Zippo lighter. It's pretty cute. I fucking hate Heatman's stage. And the reason for it is these godforsaken disappearing block platforms. These are consistent in every Mega Man game, these blocks that disappear and reappear, and for some reason they always make this noise. In general, these things are fine, okay? You stand and you watch the pattern and then you go when you've figured it out. In Heatman's stage, however, there is a giant stretch where you're jumping on these over an open pit and then suddenly this happens. Yeah, a block appears directly above you and you're just fucked, you have to die. What a load of garbage, man. There was no way to anticipate that that was gonna happen. But anyway, Heatman actually puts up a little bit of a fight, but he's easily dispatched by the Bubble Lead. Heatman's ability, although I seldom use it, is actually pretty cool. You can actually hold down the shoot button to charge it up. It's kind of like a precursor to future games where Mega Man can charge up his blaster. Next up is Flashman, not Crashman, Flashman. He's boring as hell, like look at this dude, he's just a robot with an arm cannon. You could tell me that this was a prototype designed for Mega Man and I would 100% believe you. His level is also a pain in the ass. It's not an ice level, but everything has ice physics. The floor is slippery. Thank God there aren't any pitfalls or insta-kill spikes, because if there was, this level would be a complete fucking nightmare. Flashman's boss fight is also kind of weird. He just kind of walks at you. He does occasionally freeze you in place, which you would think would be menacing, but he'll only shoot you if you're facing in the direction that he was walking before. This robot is kind of an idiot, I'm not gonna lie. If you're a big fan of Flashman, I'm sorry. I don't hate him. I don't think he has any redeeming qualities whatsoever. Also, once you beat Flashman, you get the Time Stopper, which just freezes everything on the screen. I mean, I'm sure I could see it being useful, but I never use it. Next up, you got Woodman, who I gotta believe has to be in the running for least threatening looking enemy ever in a video game. He's made of logs. I mean, it's kind of weird for a robot, but whatever. The boss fight is actually pretty challenging. He puts up his leaf shield that blocks projectiles and has leaves falling from the sky. There's actually quite a lot to micromanage when fighting him. For cutting down his tree, if you know what I'm saying. You get the Leaf Shield, which is pretty cool. It circles around you while you stand still, and when you move, it shoots forward and deals damage. You can also aim it to shoot it in different directions. And the final Robot Master is Quickman. Quickman's so cool that he's sticking out of his little profile picture on the level select. Quickman's stage fucking sucks. I hate it. The entire stage is full of these stupid laser beams that launch toward you at Mach speed and kill you in one hit. You have to enter the screen at the exact right spot or else you'll get hit and die. And it's like the whole level too. It's agonizing. Quickman himself is as advertised. He's quick. He's pretty difficult to fight actually, because he moves fast, jumps around, shoots projectiles at you. He is, however, the only boss who can be frozen with Flashman's ability, but it only takes him down to half health, so you gotta do the rest yourself. For your troubles, you get a bubblegum pink outfit and the Quick Boomerang ability, which gives you these little rapid fire projectiles that come back to you. And that's all the Robot Masters, but don't go anywhere. The game's not over yet. You think Dr. Wily would have Mega Man defeat all of his Robot Masters and just have nothing else up his sleeve? You must be some kind of moron or something. Mom must have raised you to be some kind of stupid asshole or something. Once you have defeated all the Robot Masters, Dr. Wily shows up and menacingly wiggles his eyebrows at you. And then he flies back to his giant evil villain fortress, and now we are in the final stretch of the game, the Wily stages. You hop in and are greeted by straight up perhaps the best song of any game on the NES. The Wily stages are probably the best part of the game in my opinion. They're pretty structurally similar to the regular levels, long platforming stages with enemies and a boss at the end who's weak to a specific weapon. But the difference is that the Wily stages are designed around the fact that you have a fully decked out arsenal of weapons and items. Obviously, since you have complete freedom to play the main part of the game in any order you want, they couldn't have required any of the abilities to progress. The Wily stages, however, hinge on the fact that you've collected all the weapons and the items. I don't know. The things that make Mega Man go red. The most brutal thing about the Wily stages though is that your weapon gauges don't refill between levels, so you gotta make sure not to go too trigger happy with certain abilities if you want to use them in the future levels. Anyway, the bosses are generally pretty cool. This giant robot dragon who makes the screen flicker like crazy, malicious wall tiles that you must defeat one at a time, a giant Gutsman robot that dies in like 3 bubble lead attacks. Now look, I was just gonna blast through these, but allow me to put the positivity on hold for a moment so that I can complain about Wily Stage 4. This level can fuck off for 2 reasons. 1, it's full of false floors that do not indicate in any way whatsoever that you can't stand on them. Like, why? This is the most infuriating of minor inconveniences. It wouldn't be that bad if there wasn't one over top of a pit of spikes. Like, what the fuck is the matter with you? Why would you do that to another human being? The other reason I hate this level is because of the stupid ass boss. It's not really a boss, it's just 5 wall-mounted turrets that can only be destroyed with the Crash Bomb ability, which you can only use 7 of at full capacity. That means that you have to use 5 bombs for the turrets and 2 to blow up these 2 walls. If you do not do this perfectly, you are f***ed. If you die midway through, you have to grind ammo out of these guys because you won't have enough Crash Bombs to beat the boss. It's not really that hard necessarily, it's just kind of stupid. I don't know, I hate this boss. All that said though, at least they had the restraint not to bring back this motherfucker, so it's a definite improvement from the original game. But anyway, after that you gotta do a boss rush of all the Robot Masters, which is always fun. And then you fight Dr. Wily and his big flying machine, followed by a final showdown where it's revealed that Dr. Wily has been an alien this whole time! But not actually, he's just f***ing with us as usual. And there you have it folks, Dr. Wily has been murdered by Mega Man. Not actually though, he comes back another 9 times. So you're probably dying to hear my opinion now, huh? Well, it's your lucky day. All of the Mega Man NES games have a lot to love about them, and the second installment is certainly no exception. For starters, this game is pretty technically impressive when you think about it. The visuals are just astounding. There are very few NES games that look as good today as Mega Man does. All of the levels are visually distinct and have their own thematic cohesiveness that matches the boss. Woodman's stage is like a forest and full of robots that resemble woodland creatures. Airman's stage takes place almost entirely in the sky. Metal Man's stage is like you're inside a factory with gears and conveyor belts. Pretty much every enemy sprite looks fantastic. I'm a big fan of these little rotating guys. I mean, yeah, I know they're just a bunch of images, but still, it's pretty cool how well they give off the impression that they're actually rotating. And this guy, who you actually see cranking his little handle up and down to adjust his trajectory. They didn't have to do that, they could have just made him move up and down. And on top of all that, holy shit, the first 6 Mega Man games have incredible soundtracks. It's so good you almost don't even notice the 8-bit sound to it. Say what you will about Capcom, but if there is one thing they're good at, it's producing the best possible product despite technical limitations. Overall, it's just a good-ass game. Go play it and have a good time. Or play any of the other NES Mega Man games. You'll probably have a comparable experience. And that, my friends, is Mega Man 2. It's a classic game, and it's obviously special to a lot of people, but I would say that it holds up now almost as good, if not just as good, as when it first came out. If I had to give it a rating, I probably would.